considered peak hours. Latest figures from the City Council show that 750,000 vehicles travel in and out of Leeds every day. 34,000 vehicles travel into Leeds between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every morning. And 93,000 vehicles a day use the inner ring road. With only 24,473 parking places in the city centre, it's hardly surprising that parking is increasingly difficult. But whatever the warnings, people still love their cars. 70% of households have at least one. People like the flexibility and freedom that cars give them. With a car, you can drop the children off at school and then go to work and do the shopping and pick up the dry cleaning on the way back. The upmarket company car has also become a big perk for besuited executives who'd be reluctant to exchange the luxury walnut and leather and surround sound state-of-the-art CD player for a drafty wait in a bus queue.
I think even if public transport were improved, I think whilst it may be more frequently and often used, I don't think it would prevent people from spending the money on products such as these, because I think these products and products like them make a particular statement about the individual, about his lifestyle and about perhaps the level of success that he feels he's achieved.
Most cars which travel into the city each morning have only one person in them. There are an estimated 80,000 empty seats in cars travelling into Leeds between 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning, and the City Council is keen that these spare seats should be used in car-sharing schemes to try and reduce traffic. This spring, in a radical new scheme, Leeds is to be the first city in Europe to create a special fast lane for cars carrying more than one person. The scheme, known as an HOV lane, standing for High Occupancy Vehicle Lane, is due to open along a 2-kilometre stretch of the Stanningley dual carriageway. And if it's a success, more will follow.
There is a proposal to put a car share lane on one of the main radials into Leeds, which would be the way we're going to do it, would be the first in Europe. We're going to share it with a bus lane. But that's one advantage of car share. We would provide special lanes, that might be the first of several, so that people who do share cars have an advantage and can get into the city quicker. And maybe at the other end we can look at car parks with preferential parking fees for people who car share. The general sort of premise is that we sort of talk to people and educate them and persuade them to car share. And we can look at, and we have got a computer software now that will match home addresses and work addresses and put people in touch with each other and say, well, there's two people living on the same estate in Pudsey or somewhere who actually work in two buildings next to each other in the city centre and never knew it. And there you are, what's wrong with car sharing?
There may be the option of a car share working for me if I were to pick a colleague up at a bus stop on my way to work. The problem is that I don't actually go into the office every day. Sometimes I have to go to meetings, which involves travelling to another site. With regards to the council initiative to match people up on a database, that obviously would be of help. For a woman travelling into Leeds on her own, I just wonder whether they've thought of the safety aspect of matching people up and whether they're going to vet these people who they're putting on the database. It may be that, you know, somebody who you matched up with turns out to be a dubious character. It may be that you matched up with somebody that you don't particularly like or get on with.
I doubt whether our customers would like the idea of car sharing. I think, largely speaking, the problem is one of mobility. I think it is a selfish point of view, and I think human beings are naturally quite selfish anyway. I think the difficulty that we're all faced with is trying to change attitudes that are obviously very long established.
This car share scheme is included in a package of plans which are aimed at reducing traffic in the city. By the year 2002, over £1 billion will have been spent by the European Union, national government and Leeds City Council on new road and transport schemes. Hopes are high that the figure will also include a new tramway for the city. Dealing with the growing traffic problem has become something of a science, and plans are carefully researched and tested by academics at the University of Leeds. The university boasts the biggest teaching and research centre into vehicle use in the UK, and it works closely with both national and local government. The simulator acts as a testbed for many of the new traffic schemes.
We have a good working relationship with the local authority here, and most of the research which we conduct is sponsored by either the national government of Britain or by the European Union. So the work which we're doing is feeding directly into the policy decision-making process. The benefits of having a facility like this is that in a safe environment we can bring in members of the general public and introduce them to systems which it would be too expensive to build as demonstration sites in the real road. So we can actually recreate new highway engineering schemes, new traffic calming environments, new communication systems to give drivers more information about their environment. We can recreate or create or recreate those systems, present those to the drivers in this safe environment and look at their reactions both in terms of safety, in terms of the efficiency of the systems which are being proposed, but also equally importantly in terms of the acceptability of these systems, whether people really would like to use these systems in real life.
By the year 2010, many roads will have reached 100% capacity, according to the City Council's Transport Strategy document. To many, it seems as if that figure could become a reality sooner than anticipated.
I don't think we're overestimating at all, and we're also very realistic about how much worse the situation is likely to get. This country is largely following the American model, and in America they already have car ownership rates of around 600 vehicles per thousand in the population. In Britain our figures are about 400 per thousand of the population. But in both those countries the ceiling isn't in sight, they're both increasing. So everything points to the situation, however bad it is at the moment, is likely to get worse in the future. I think perceptions are slowly changing, and it is becoming almost politically correct or environmentally aware to make more use of public transport. But I think that transition of the mass population leaving their cars at home and moving on to public transport is still several years away, and the transition really is going to be quite slow, although it must be achieved in the long run because traffic rates and volumes are increasing in this country and they are set to continue to increase.
Total chaos is only avoided by the team here at Urban Traffic Control, who monitor the roads using a network of 35 cameras positioned in and around Leeds. They can alter the sequence of traffic lights to help traffic flow and alert the police if things really start to get out of hand.
Right. I'll get the police to go down, they'll soon shift him. Possibly not. Well, certainly not from us anyway. OK, leave it with us. Hi, Steve at UTC. Could somebody have a look at camera number 4, please? Right, we've got this contractor working in Park Row, blocking a lane with a trailer just on the entry into City Square. He obviously shouldn't be there in peak time. Probably shouldn't be there at any time, really, but I wonder if you could send someone down to advise him of his obligations and move him on. OK, thanks a lot. Bye-bye. The amount of traffic around at peak times is much greater than it ever was. Peak periods certainly are much more stretched out than they used to be as well. Generally speaking, in Leeds, the morning peak will last from between 7 o'clock till, in some areas, certainly 10 o'clock. Generally speaking, about 9:30, but in some areas 10. And in the evening peak, probably from around 3:30, 3:45, until around 6:30 in the evening. Certainly events and breakdowns and other things can extend peak periods into all day, in fact, on occasions. We've just got a high security prison escort leaving the courts this evening, heading out to South Yorkshire, I think, somewhere. So the police are stopping the traffic on Park Road to get access into City Square just now. We're heading off down to the motorways.
Do you get any warning of this?
Well, in this particular case, no, but we do occasionally assist them coming into the city centre, generally in the morning. At the moment, not necessarily unusually so, but certainly the worst case is travelling out towards the M621 around the Elland Road area from the Inner Ring Road. That's queuing all the way back from Elland Road along Ingram Distributor right back onto the westbound carriageway, the Inner Ring Road. We do tend to find that from time to time people do break down with running out of petrol and the like. So that's increasingly heavy and is probably more likely to be the one that will gridlock first.
The urban traffic control people have the almost nightmarish task of ensuring that if a junction fails or there's an incident or an accident in one location, they can redirect traffic at the push of a number of computer buttons and to pull the plug out and ease traffic. From the police point of view, the first we know about it usually is when everything does stop, and at that stage that's where the urban traffic control people take over.
The council is convinced that if everyone made an effort to leave their cars at home once or twice a week, the congestion would be dramatically reduced. They've adopted a carrot and stick policy to persuade people that this is the best option.
If we could get 10 to 20% of cars off the road in the current rush hour situation, things would drop back to a comfortable situation. So 1 or 2 days a week coming by public transport, 1 or 2 days a week sharing transport would do the trick. What we're saying to people is we're going to provide you with some alternative means of getting into the city, public transport, and we're going to make it easier for you to use that, and we're going to make it shorter, we hope, journey-wise, to use public transport. Now, if you choose not to use it, and you can choose not to use it, the stick comes in that we're taking road space away from general traffic. All the improvements we're doing for public transport. So gradually things will get slightly worse for people coming in their cars, but we will have provided the carrot in the choice of public transport before that we reach that point. So we're going down let's provide the alternatives, let's persuade people that they have a choice and they can use those alternatives. But if they don't choose to use them, gradually things will get a little bit tighter for people trying to get in the city by car during the peak periods.
But while everyone seems to agree that something radical needs to happen, so far the new road systems and the whimsical nature of public transport haven't yet won the hearts and minds of the Leeds travelling public. The new road layouts in the city centre remain a mystery to many people who use them every day. People like Dawn, for instance.
My policy for getting through this particular area is to keep your head down and your elbows out. It's a battle, really. I can understand why there's so much road rage on the roads when you get into areas of Leeds like this. There've been a lot of changes in Leeds city centre of late with the new traffic one-way systems being introduced and special bus routes. They make my journey more difficult in that when I'm coming home on an evening, it often takes me 20 to 30 minutes to cover basically about a 300-yard stretch of road. And obviously on an evening I'm under pressure to get home quickly to pick my son up from nursery. So time really is of the essence, and the new one-way system has basically put more travel time onto the end of my day.
And if people are really expected to get out of their cars and onto a bus, then bus services will have to be much improved.
I think the bus could be a lot quicker if the bus lanes were extended into the centre of town. Also, when I have to get a train, so I go to London or York for a business meeting, then the bus doesn't go to the station, and there's yet another walk. Obviously, if I've got luggage to carry, then also there's another inconvenience. So the bus service could be improved. For a major city, it's extremely disappointing. There's no overground rail service that services North Leeds where I live. In fact, I believe many stations have been closed. The bus service is okay during rush hour periods, but outside rush hour it's very poor. The cycle lanes are appalling. It's a city that's geared for cars and not for public transport.
Buses can't get through, and buses don't run to time in any case. You can stand there 5 minutes, you can stand there 20 minutes. And when we've got a load of shopping bags like we have on a Thursday, it's just stupid.
And braving the city centre on two wheels looks likely to remain the preserve of only the most determined cyclist.
I've only had 2 real narrow escapes, well 3. There was once when a car, and this is a very common problem with cyclists, a car overtakes you and immediately goes left. There was one occasion when I was cycling down a hill and a car came out from the right and came straight across me, and I couldn't miss that car. And then this year I was going through a junction and a car just touched my back wheel, and I sensed that I was in his way. You have to be determined and think, well, this is what I'm going to do. You never quite know if you're going to live by the time you get to the bottom, but it adds a bit of excitement to life. The Sheepscarp intersection is terrifying, really. I think that unless you're very confident, you're just not going to do it. Now, I've got to get out into the middle of the road here. I'm going to make a good signal. Traffic lights are changing, but I'm getting through them. And now I've just got to go for it. Aim for this middle of the road. And traffic lights ahead are red. So I'm just changing gear. Get into a nice small gear. Slow down. Maybe I won't have to stop completely. You find a bicycle lane in the middle of nowhere, you're cycling along and then suddenly there's this nice bicycle lane, you think, oh, this is good. And then you get to the most impossible gyratory road system and the cycle lane is ended, finished, gone. And you don't know what you're going to do at all. And it's as though the cycle lanes have been designed by people who were last on a bicycle when they were 13.
And as for the new loop road in the city centre...
It's a load of crap in Leeds now, yeah.
It's disgusting to what they've done up there to all taxis and all, you know, this car-free zone. That I think that they'll lose actually a lot of customers, you know, in shops, because we'd rather go out somewhere to Meadowhall where you can park.
In the city and that, it's very bad to get it in and out of the shopping centre.
I've got to pick my little girl from school and you just can't get out. It's 20 minutes queuing to get out.
The present moment tonight, I'm cursing.
Why is that?
Because I think there's not enough road signs up to say roads are changing. Blockages everywhere you go. I don't normally leave work until nearly 5 o'clock. I thought leaving at 2:45 tonight I'd be through city centre a lot quicker. And I think it's going to take me even longer.
But if things continue as they are and pollution gets worse, there could be even more radical plans to limit the number of cars in the city centre. Government figures have shown that pollution reached dangerous levels in Leeds on 40 days last year. Elsewhere in Europe, pollution has already resulted in enforced limits being placed on the number of cars travelling into some cities. Charging a toll for entry into the city is another possibility. This type of road toll, known as cordoning, is being tried out elsewhere in Britain, and it's one of the ideas being tested at the Institute of Transport Studies at the University of Leeds.
There are demonstration projects going around the rest of Europe and in certain other UK countries where people are charged a fee for entering a city centre area. Now that can either be a flat fee, such as £1 for entering Leeds city centre today, or it could be a time-based charge, so you're charged for every hour or every part of an hour that you're within the city centre boundary.
What about the idea of cordoning the city?
Well, that again is something that is a very current discussion point. I mean, the government have asked local authorities to respond to a white paper just recently, and that's one of the questions that are asked. How do we think about that? And again, not in our consciousness at the moment, but something that we may have to come to and may decide to come to, because it's again a fairly simple method of controlling the amount of traffic that enters the city centre. So it's something that's being discussed nationally, and is something that may well be what we might have to move to in the future.
But so far, tests seem to be showing that cordoning in itself may have some undesirable side effects when it comes to driver behaviour.
Well, what we found is that a significant proportion of the drivers that we've had coming through the simulator have changed their driving style when they've been charged for access to a city centre. They've driven more aggressively, they've driven quicker, they've moved into the wrong lane at particular junctions, they've accepted shorter gaps when crossing across traffic, generally adopting riskier driving behaviour when they're being charged for the amount of time that they're in a city centre.
So do you conclude then that something like paying to enter a city centre is therefore a bad thing?
No, because I think you've got to look at it with a wide perspective. It may be necessary to move to these sort of systems if it is decided that it is necessary, and we have to look at the best implementation of that system.
At the rate traffic is increasing, the race is on to reduce congestion before the looming possibility that the unthinkable G word becomes a byproduct of Leeds' commercial success.
I think it's a bit unlikely that the city centre would actually gridlock these days, because so much more of the city centre is given up to pedestrianisation. But certainly at peak times, the periphery of the city centre certainly could become gridlocked in certain circumstances.
There is a critical point in all city centres, and it can be clearly be modelled, of traffic usage and potential gridlock. And it's foreseeable with increases in traffic volume that certain parts of a city could reach near gridlock positions, yes.
If we don't do anything about it, the whole city centre, not only in Leeds but around the country, every urban area will finally become totally gridlocked and traffic just won't be able to move at all. The catastrophic effect of that, of course, is the nightmare scenario.
There are only another 12 years to go, if the warnings are to be believed, before our roads are forecast to be completely blocked. From today's perspective, it seems as if we've taken too long to recognise the problem, and current solutions may not be sufficient to solve it.
I like driving in my car. I'm satisfied I've got this far.
Up for promotion to the Army's elite drug squad on BBC One in a moment, Jake and Jess are in training as animals in uniform.
Inside every man and woman, there's a real performer.
I want you to think of me as Holy Spice.
You get some music, I'll take all my clothes. That would be entertaining.
And celebrity.
I'm just getting Alison Moyet's autograph.
Just waiting to get out.
Get a move on, you strange and insane idiot!
A case of overexposure in The Vicar of Dibley in half an hour.
First on BBC One, Customs and Excise are looking for new recruits. You'll need to retrieve well and have a good nose.